Greetings, Inquisitor. Thank you for joining this holocron. Please get out your like saber, annihilate that like button, and help me power up this holocron. Today we're going to dip into the Ask Loquitur section of the Discord. For anyone who's not part of the Discord, the link is in the description for the video down below. Click it, you can join up on Discord and ask questions in this channel. I'm going to go over a couple account questions today, a couple fleet questions, and try to get that information out to more people who may have the same question. The first thing, let's take a look at a low-level account. Player found my channel, looking at the paths, trying to decide which way to go forward. Let's take a quick look at the account. In terms of ships, he's built the right ships. He's got geos going. He's working on Galactic Republic, got a TIE silencer in here, getting ready for that materials challenge to get his Zeta materials, so that's good. In characters, Phoenix, Newt Gunray, Geos, Sith, Jedi. So he's got the right basics already building up in the account. In terms of what path to pick, I think it's less about what fits the account and it's more about the current meta. Guilds right now are really looking to complete the challenge tier Rancor. They're looking at light side GOTB as an important goal. And they're looking more than ever at territory wars because, of course, once you get to a certain galactic power, that gets you access to Relic 9 materials. So the highest level guilds in the game, of course, are looking for those kinds of things. The Senator build is designed to make your account desirable for joining a guild. So I would say if that's something that you want to do, I think the Senator path is one of the premium paths right now. It'll help you qualify for the better guilds. You may have to take a mediocre guild as you're building the account up and then look later to progress into a bigger account once you get your clones online, for example. The Emperor path is also, I think, the second most desirable right now. An early Galactic Legend will show a guild that you have focus, that you can grind through relicing characters and get your goal of a Galactic Legend achieved. So either one of those two builds, I think, would be a perfect thing for you to do with this account. Moving into a second account question, a lot more complicated, similar but more complicated. This account was a horde account. For anybody who's not familiar with how that works, this is typically a way that people build alt accounts. They put them at a low level, put them in a guild, and accumulate gear for quite some time. And then when they're ready, they buy the hyperdrive bundle, go straight to 85, use all of that stored up gear, and make quite a nice account really early on. You can see this one went to 1.4 million galactic power already. And the idea of doing that is to kind of springboard your squad and fleet arena and get high placement in those for quite some time. Because you stay at a low level, you haven't joined a fleet shard or a squad shard, and then when you do, you're already far ahead of everyone else. So with this account, what path would we pick? If we take a look at the fleet first, Galactic Republic fleet is in great shape. We got these ships going. We've got relic level characters in these ships. Houndstooth coming up behind it. We've got the hyperdrive bundle ships added into that. Han's Millennium Falcon get going down here. I think for the second fleet, rather than a rebel fleet, the hyperdrive bundle leads you toward a rebel fleet, but I really believe that it's a better path to go ahead, circle back around, build those Geonosians, and build their fleet and have that as your second fleet. You do get the Vulture droid with the hyperdrive bundle, so for the cost of building the Geos out of the shop and working on the Hyena bomber, you'll be way ahead. You'll get that fleet established under the Executrix and be able to have two fully functional fleets for Grand Arena. In terms of the characters that he's worked on already, you can see the Padme team here is in good shape. We've got 5s. Shock T is already underway. And again, with springboarding like this into such a good fleet, then already we have access to Shock T very quickly and can work on her. We've got Asajj Ventress over here and even the Ewoks. So once I see this many of the gas requirements being met, it really feels like this account is well on its way toward a Senator build, toward a gas first sort of a build, and not far off from it at all. Get C-3PO in here, get the droids built up around Grievous, and we'll definitely have gas very early on in this account. in terms of relative to the start time of the account. So fantastic. Go for the Senator build. Now, from there, it would be very tempting to go into the Jedi Master Kenobi build, but I think because this account is springboarded, there's probably not a lot of Wat Tambor shards in here. Maybe I'm mistaken. If Wat's already underway, then that's good. And you'll have to figure out for yourself the timing. If you can get 30 or more Wat shards, it's still 10 months of collecting to get him to 7 stars, and then you have to get him to relic level for the Jedi Master Kenobi journey. If you think those timelines match up, gas into Kenobi, then feel free to take that journey. If it doesn't, then I recommend going from the gas journey into Sith Eternal Emperor. That's going to build up the Imperial Troopers, a Sith team, Darth Vader. It's going to give a bunch of good stuff, and then you can swing back around and go into that JMK journey once you know that you can secure Wat on that timeline. In terms of ships, if we do go on the gas journey, I don't think there's going to be enough time for this account to build the Negotiator to 7 stars. We'll be at that gas unlock very quickly, so the endurance will have to be force farmed and brought to 7 stars as quickly as possible in order to get that gas unlock done. I also recommend it to this player in terms of Grand Arena. This account is going to have a lot of top end very quickly. The player is only in Carbonite because they just started, but they're going to rise very quickly through Carbonite. They're going to rise very quickly through Bronzium and find themselves in Chromium. Chromium requires 7 teams on defense and 7 on offense, and an account like this could very easily find itself running out of teams. So I did recommend to this player to have a look at the single relic pressure teams that I've talked about on the channel before. And to give a few examples to anybody who's not familiar with that, it's where you build one character to relic level and you put a bunch of other weak characters with them, but you get a fully functional team for the price of just really one character. So let's say you did that, you built 4 of these teams. That's 4 relic characters, and for each one you get a full team behind it very easily. Grievous you take to relic level, you put a bunch of droids and separatists with him. You'd want to try to make sure that everything dies at a separate time. So here, it's not hard to kill Newt Gunray with one good area effect hit. But if he'll die, then he'll resurrect. He'll trigger Grievous. Magna Guard will die later, trigger Grievous. Newt Gunray a second time. Dark Trooper has 4 stacks of life, so he won't die at the same time as everybody else. And then Battle Droid has stacks, and he'll die at a different time. As long as everything here dies at a different time, Grievous just keeps coming across and doing damage and stealing banners. So you can make a very functional team with just one character. The clone idea is out because he's going to be going Senator and building those characters all up early, so no reason to look at that team. Mon Mothma, similarly, you relic this character, and you bring 3PO and Chewie on the team. You have to develop them high enough to get this skill maxed out so that they will take Mon Mothma's stats and share them across the rest of the team. And it makes the rest of this team much, much better than its respective gear levels. So you relic Mon Mothma, you put it with a bunch of 3 of your Rebel fighters that you have for whatever build you've got going on, 3PO and Chewie, and it's a free team. Qui-Gon Jinn with an Omicron and Bad Jedi, we've already seen that can do great things. Zam Wesell is very similar. If you relic Zam Wesell, you can put her with 4 low-geared bounty hunters. She'll share so many of her stats with those bounty hunters that you'll have a functional team for the cost of 1 relic. Relic Old Daka with Night Sisters is a team. Relic Queel with a bunch of scoundrels can be a team. Relic Crew with just whatever first order you have is hard on defense. Crew is very difficult to get through unless you bring a character in that can deal with him. So just a Relic Crew on his own is already a defensive team. So these kinds of teams you can build for the cost of 1 relic. And if you built 4 of those teams, then all of a sudden placing 7 teams on defense and having 7 for offense is a lot less scary because you get a bunch of good teams for low investment. And then at some point, of course, you can get the Revens and work on that kind of stuff. But these kind of teams will help you fill out the empty slots so that you can go for Galactic Legends as your main project and still have plenty of teams to rise through Grand Arena. We'll answer 2 more questions. One that I get often is about the Malevolence versus the Negotiator. And if you're early game, do you want to build one of these ships to 5 stars and then immediately switch over to building the other ship? And the answer to that, I believe, is yes. You should start out with the Malevolence. The Malevolence is already functional at 5 stars. If you want to get the Negotiator unlocked as soon as you get the Malevolence unlocked, get the Malevolence to 5 stars, start working on the Negotiator, get that going. You can. I think the best path is to take the Malevolence to 6 stars and then switch over to the Negotiator. It takes a little bit longer for that. But again, remember that last star is 100 shards and it's 145 to unlock the Negotiator. So it's not that much different. If you take it to 6 stars, it works. The ship is a lot more functional. And you can even leave it at 6 stars until you've finished out your Negotiator to 7, and then you come back around and finish out the Malevolence. Either way is good. If you're on a gas journey or you're doing something that needs the Negotiator at 7 stars, then this is a much harder path to do, and you just build the Negotiator all the way to 7 stars first to qualify for your event, and then you come back and start working on the Malevolence. So it depends on which ship you start with, and it depends on what you're planning to do with the account, especially if you're planning to do the gas journey early in the game and you need this Negotiator. The last question I'm going to answer is about the Executor. In a recent stream, I said if I had a 4 or 5 star Executor, that I would typically consider that an offensive fleet instead of a defensive fleet. And I've had several questions about that in the Ask Loquitur channel. Why do I consider it to be that way? And it all comes down to the speed of the ship. If your ship is acting at a high speed, your capital ship will act before the enemy capital ship, will bring in reinforcements before the enemy capital ship, and it's very easy for the Executor to win in those circumstances. A slower Executor allows your opponent time to get control. They get the first reinforcement before you, and it makes it harder for that ship to act with AI on defense. So at 4 and 5 stars, it's just that the AI is not as good at playing it as you would be. So if you take it on offense and you control the matchup and you click the buttons in the order that you want to, then the Executor is going to be a far more effective and functional capital ship at 4 and 5 stars. So the question that was asked, should I go in and spend crystals on shards for the Executor to get more stars on it? And the answer to that, of course, it's up to you. If you want to use it as a defensive fleet, then yes, you should spend the crystals, you should get the shards, you should get it to at least 6 stars, so that when you put it on defense, it's much, much harder for the opponent to beat. You'll get your turn with your capital ship quickly, you'll get your reinforcement in time, and be able to fight the enemy. Of course, the 7th star is critical for this ship, especially with the alt getting this stun on all enemies for 1 turn, and with the breach of protocols getting the 8th level for the extra damage and the dispel. All of these things on the final level of the skill are really helpful. So getting it to 7 stars and maxing out these skills is really important ultimately to make it a defensive fleet that your opponent can't easily beat. So only you can answer the question if those crystals are worth spending, but to me, if you want to use it as a defensive fleet, it's very hard to beat on defense, and you need to get it to 7 stars as soon as you can to make it ultimate effectiveness on defense. And at that point, you can consider it a Galactic Legend level play in Grand Arena to put a 7-star Executor on defense. Those are the 4 questions that I plan to answer in this holocron: 2 account questions, discussion about Negotiator Malevolence, and the Executor. If you have questions that you want answered, join us in the Discord. Link is in the description of the video down below. Come on over there, participate in the conversation. You can ask questions in the Ask Loquitur channel. And if they're good questions, I'll do more holocrons like this in the future to share it with more Inquisitors. Thank you for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you in the next holocron.